Welcome back. In this lesson, we will get an overview of the AWS global infrastructure and how it works. AWS is definitely a global service that contains regions, availability zones, data centers, edge locations, and points of presence. As you can see on the map, these are all the connections between the regions and different points of presence, which all travel through a private network with redundant connections. I show you these connections and data centers on the map because I want you to understand that this provides you and your company the ability to really create a global application or service using the AWS private network and services. This is really cool because you can go global in just minutes. Now, one of the most important concepts in AWS is regions. As I showed you before, there are AWS regions all over the world. But what is a region? Well, a region is simply a cluster of data centers. They consist of multiple, isolated, separate availability zones all within a geographic area. We have seen and will keep seeing the region names in the AWS console like US East 1 and so on. As I showed you in one of the previous videos, most AWS services will be region scoped. This basically means that if we deploy one EC2 server in region A, it won't be available in region B because they are scoped per region. The only time this is not true is when we use a global service like IAM, or Identity Access Management, which applies to all the regions in our AWS account. Like previously mentioned, availability zones make up AWS regions. On average, you will have about 3 availability zones, or AZs, per region. You can have as many as 6 AZs per region, and the lowest is 2 AZs per region. All of these AZs are interconnected with high bandwidth, low latency network connections and geographically isolated from each other. Each AZ will have its own redundant power, networking, and connectivity in the AWS region in the event of failure. For example, if you have AZ2 fail in this region, you will have still 2 more availability zones accessible in this region. And if you are operating a high availability application, you're most likely operating and replicating your data across these AZs so that your users don't experience any interruptions. Now, we also have what AWS likes to call points of presence or edge locations. AWS has over 265 edge locations and 13 regional edge caches, and it's only growing. We can leverage these edge locations to cache our data and deliver it to our end users with low latency. For example, if we have our main application fully deployed in US East 1, but we need to serve a small amount of clients on the other side of the world, we can leverage these edge locations along with CloudFront to cache our data to better serve our clients in Australia. They are also physically isolated from each other because you guessed it, in the event of a disaster. Now, there are some things I want you to keep in mind when selecting which region you want to deploy your application or service. First, you will have to keep in mind that not all AWS services are available in each region. This could obviously affect how you choose your region if you're looking to leverage that specific AWS service. I left this link down here that we saw in an earlier video for you to explore which services are available in which region. Next, I want you to think about the proximity of your application to your end users. If most of your customers are based in Australia, but you work and live in the United States, then you will have to rethink on where your application mainly lives. My advice would be to deploy it as close to your customers as possible for latency reasons. Next, depending in which country your application is based out of, where your customers live and the industry you operate in, you could have regulations or compliance factors that come into play that could affect where your data lives and how it is handled. Finally, something that is very important and helps drive any business decision. It's pricing. How much will it cost for you to deploy the same application in another region? It could be the same, or it can fluctuate, depending on the region and on the service you're looking to leverage. I hope in this video, you learned more about the different building blocks that make up the AWS global infrastructure, and how you can leverage it for your application and service. I'll see you in the next video.